Look at Fir'aun. He oppressed people for decades. Not only did he not get punishment during that time, he was actually given so many things. Allah gave him wealth, power that others didn't have. So just because the punishment has not come, it's being delayed, does not mean that someone is on the truth. And just because a person is currently going through difficulties does not mean that they are on false. During the lifetime of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for the most of the years, the majority of the time, if you were to look at the life of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and you were to judge justice and what is right based off of truth and falsehood over how easy and difficult people's lives were, then you would say that the Muslims had the most difficult lives and more than likely they are in falsehood, if that is how you judge people. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam lived a very difficult life for a very long time. As a matter of fact, from the time he received prophethood, the majority of his life went through difficulties and calamities. 13 years in Makkah al-Mukarramah, 6 years in Medina Munawwarah. Finally he had peace after 19 years. So the majority of the life of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was difficult. If you think about it, when you start a business, you start something new, the beginning time is difficult. It takes time to be in a routine, it takes time for it to be on a machine, it takes time for it to be naturally set up. But the initial stages are difficult. When someone becomes a doctor and goes through the process of going through school, then residency, he has to take loans or he has to borrow money from people, and then eventually he finally becomes a doctor, and after 8, 10, 12 years, however long, he finally sees the fruits of his efforts. He finally sees the fruits and the reward of all of his efforts for all that time that he was becoming a doctor, but they have to see it after 10 to 12 years. In dunya, it makes sense because we see the return physically. It's tangible, we can touch it. The reward is there. But when we do something for deen, that's the same process. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was building something. He knew he had to suffer a little bit. He had to go through calamities and difficulties. And eventually he saw the fruits of his effort. And then Allah said, now that you see the fruits of your effort, you're not going to enjoy the fruits of your effort. The people after you will. It's time for you to return to me because your job is done.